Okay, today's teaching. Today's teaching is about what's really happening when you get triggered by somebody. And I'm going to use a personal example. One of the wounds that I have worked through, which many of us have had to work through or are still struggling with, is abandonment. So I had a father who left when I was young, and it sort of creates all this sense of unworthiness, or I'm not lovable. All these untrue beliefs get kind of locked in. And it's interesting how they begin to play themselves out later in life when you start to become aware. And so knowing that for me, for this one here, this human, abandonment is something that's happened in the past. And I've done a lot of healing around it, which I'm so grateful that I've had the privilege and the opportunity to do a lot of healing around that. And so fast forward to today, and I have a partner who makes a comment. And this comment is like neutral, like to anybody else, it would be a totally neutral comment, like that, not emotional, not loaded, nothing, right? But because of my past wounding and because of any stuckness or wounds in the energy that are still inside, when he says said neutral comment, it lands for some reason. There's a part of me inside that reacts and responds to what he just said. And what happens is that little young one that was abandoned and felt unlovable from, 3 years old or whatever, all of a sudden is like front and center. Because she took that comment as somehow abandoning, somehow meaning she wasn't lovable. In reality, not true. He literally just said a comment that would be neutral to anybody else without this one's wounding. So the comment lands, the trigger hits in my heart or in my belly, right? You guys know what it feels like when somebody's like, gives you like a gut punch. So they say something that really triggers you. It's landing on old wounding. So this old wounding comes in, this 3-year-old's here, she's scared, she feels unloved, and boom, the walls come up. It's like not even walls, it's like armor, like boom, like steel armor comes up, right? And so there's a closing. My heart closes, my energy closes, I'm closed to him. And this is how so many of us proceed. We start to believe this idea that he said something that hurt me. But that's actually not what's happening. He said something, and then this one's wounding responded. God bless, I've done enough work now that I can understand that it has literally nothing to do with him. Like whatever he spoke about, the way that it affected me had nothing to do with him. It's simply life creating a catalyst for my healing to bring more love and understanding to that abandoned, wounded part of me, right? So I go into the shutdown and then I realize, okay, I'm getting triggered. I'm getting shut down right now. Let me breathe through this and let me recognize like, whoa, that really hit inside of me. That really struck an insecurity inside of me of abandonment. And so the work here is to go inside yourself. So for me, I took space. I gave myself some time and some room to drop inside of myself and to bring some love inside of me to whatever that wound was, whatever that comment was landing on. And I fill my own cup, right? So I help myself process my own trigger. I don't go to him yet. I do it within myself. So I breathe, I self-talk like, hi, honey, I'm here with you. This is not reality. Nothing's happening right now. Everything is fine. No one's leaving. This doesn't mean anything about you. I'm right here with you. And more than that, I just imagine that little, scared 3-year-old who felt abandoned, and I hold her. I literally pretend that I'm like holding this little baby body inside of me against myself and giving her all of the love and attention and security that she needs. And then the trigger begins to soften and the heart begins to soften and the heart begins to open because I've helped myself heal. So now I'm feeling a bit more regulated. My nervous system is back online. I'm not in a trauma response, right? The abandonment was traumatic for me. So if somebody says something that sparks that, I go into a traumatic response, which means shutdown, armor, protection. I'm on my own, right? Like That's just not reality. Reality is we are two humans standing together and saying things, and that's it. So then after I was able to go in and sit with myself and process and hold myself and love that little part of me, I was able to then come back and say like, wow, I really noticed that that comment like really landed on something wounded inside of me, or really landed on something old inside of me. And we got to talk about it. And I discovered what exactly he meant. And it meant nothing about, nothing even about me. I can't quite remember what the exact comment was at this point, but this is more just an example to show what it can be like when you start to recognize, oh my God, everybody who's triggering me is actually helping me free myself. Everybody who's triggering me is giving me an opportunity to find more freedom within myself, so that next time I don't get so triggered, or if I do, I know exactly how to work with myself to get through it. And I don't need to go into blame, and I don't need to go into confrontation and conflict and anger and all of those feelings that come after being triggered by somebody. You go into your defense, they go into their defense, then their little inner child's getting hit because you're shutting down. This is something I see all the time. Like, I'll use this example of me. If I were to shut down, a female shuts down, that can spark the partner's also internal wounding, their younger wounding, because if they were around a primary caregiver who, withheld love from them, then naturally that's going to send them into their inner child, their wounding and their protection. And then from there, it's very challenging to have adult conversation because everybody's in their wounding, everybody's triggered, and everybody's coming on the defense, right? So you're no longer teammates, you're on opposing teams. So once you can start to understand, oh yeah, this is just about me. This is a calling for me to go deeper within myself, heal and hold myself inside that's getting triggered. And then I can come back as my wise adult to my partner and have an actual conversation about this. Beautiful things can happen, and you can get so much closer to each other when you start to really understand, oh, okay, this is what can affect her this way, or this is what affects him this way, and this is how he responds. And when you both are on the same page that you're going to handle your own triggers inside, it can be a really powerful relationship. So all that to say, when someone's triggering you, it's just an opportunity to go inside and love yourself even more. Regulate your nervous system, breathe through it, hold that little inner child that's getting triggered. And if you can't really picture a child, just self-soothe. Just talk to yourself like you would a friend who was triggered. Right? If you see somebody who's really freaking out, they're having a panic attack, what would you say? You would say kind and loving things to them. It's going to be okay. You would stroke their hair. You would put your hand on, their heart. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I know you're freaking out right now. I know it feels like the world's going to end. I know this feels really intense, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah? So that's how you work with yourself. So hallelujah to getting triggered, because there's just more opportunities to find your true self, your true nature, which is pure freedom. Pure freedom. Love you.